Hello everybody, I'm Sohnjee. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by and checking me out. I appreciate your time. If you're a regular subscriber, hey, how you doing? Welcome back. Thanks for hanging in there with me. As always, I would appreciate your comments at the end of the video, so feel free to chat it up with me in the comment section and I'll get back to you as we discuss your thoughts on the video topic. Okay, so let's get into it. And of course, at the end, you like what you see, you want to check me out some more, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll know when we upload new content and further things for us to discuss and dish about. So without further ado, let's get into it. This video, we're talking about the Gemini man. That's right. If you have decided that you have your eyes set on Mr. Sun Sign Gemini, well, I am here to give you some surefire ways to capture his attention. All right? So, you want a Gemini, huh? Okay, well, before we get into that, because Mr. Gemini is definitely a unique character, let's talk about some fundamental things about Mr. Gemini. They're general. Of course, your Gemini may be oh so unique, but these are general traits that are typically attributed to Mr. Gemini. Let's talk about it. Well, Geminis are amongst the intellectuals of the zodiac. That's what they're talked about. They're known for being the thinkers. They have cleverness. They're typically funny. They're very curious. And they're almost always excellent communicators. Now, Mr. Gemini is also enthusiastic, charming, and clever. And he's typically good at almost anything he puts his mind to. And he will definitely be one of those people that can make you laugh, or he'll definitely be that guy trying to make you laugh. Now, they have a light and inquisitive type of personality in general, and Gemini men typically are quite sexy. Now, we don't know if it's the sexiness because a guy that makes you laugh is, of course, fantastic. But it's also his gift of gab and him wanting to talk. He doesn't shy away from talking to you. So he's definitely not the silent, broody type unless he's thinking about something's on his mind. Typically, Mr. Gemini is perceived as friendly and light and airy. You know, he's an air sign after all. Now, the Gemini man is born between May 21st and June 20th. So that's what lets you know that you're indeed interested in Sun Sign Gemini. Now, this is a mutable air sign, okay? And they're known as the twins. They get a bad rap for being known as the good twin and the bad twin, and you don't know which twin you're gonna get. But that's not necessarily true. They're not exactly two-faced people, but instead, they're a person with multiple viewpoints on the same subject. You know, people always talk about, well, the Gemini has two, the duality. Well, the Pisces symbol is also two fish. So there you have it. Give Gemini a break. All right. I don't know if comparing them with Pisces was the best idea, but hey, Pisces, I love you. You know what I'm saying. That's the example. Let's keep it moving. All right. So this mental complexity for Gemini is sometimes misconstrued as them being contradictory, superficial, and unreliable. Well, in fact, the Gemini just possesses the capability of seeing both sides of a situation, and because they're thinkers, they like to ponder both sides before making a decision. But don't attribute that their ability to press pause and consider both angles as their inability to make a decision, because that's not true. Mr. Gemini will, in fact, make a decision. You just might not like the decision he makes, but you know, hey, we'll talk about that later. All right, so they're known to be highly intellectual. Like I said, they're thinking. They're sometimes labeled as having a lack of emotion because Mr. Gemini is going to always consider what he thinks. over what you want him to feel. And, you know, when you compare that to perhaps some of the water signs where they're a lot more feeling and they're telling you how they feel, Gemini is going to lead with what he thinks. And the fact that he has a flirtatious nature because, you know, he's Mr. Friendly and he likes to make people laugh and, you know, he's the crowd pleaser. Maybe not so much as Mr. Leo, who likes to be the center of attention, but Mr. Gemini holds his own in the crowd and he gets his fair share of notice. So you want to keep that in mind if you want to proceed with Mr. Gemini. Now, sometimes they are inconsistent and indecisive, all right? And they're not known for the type to be easily tied down. However, there are some simple things that you can do to get him interested and get him communicating and wanting to attract himself more to you. Now, there are two major challenges in trying to win the affection of a Gemini man: getting him alone and keeping up with him. Okay? So, that's your intro. You still interested in Mr. Gemini? All right, hang in there. Let's go. Let's talk about what you can do to get Mr. Gemini to follow behind you. All right, so first of all, Geminis are known to get bored quickly. All right, so step it up. That's rule number one. They just as quickly as a Gemini man can be in your face, kikiing it up, he's gone. All right, so if you've got his attention and he's in front of you, let's go. We need to get this plan into action. Step number one. All right, make your move soon. The Gemini man does not stick around. So if your Gemini man is somebody that you work with and they're there, especially if Mr. Gemini is in a 10 position or if you are, you want to go ahead and catch his eye quickly. You don't want to spend too much time pondering, how am I going to talk to him? After all, what are you doing that for? Mr. Gemini likes to talk about everything. Just catch him at the water cooler and strike up a conversation. Or if you're meeting him out in the social scene, well, there's always the bar. Catch him at the bar. He's the bartender. Where else is he going? Order some Cokes and keep them coming. That's right. You see how I said Coca-Cola or ginger ale? Or some cranberry juice? I'm not advocating any type of addictive behavior. All right, so anyway, so throw that in there. So if you're in a social setting, you want to get on over there next to him and you want to chat it up with him, you want to dance, he's out there dancing, dance with him. What are you thinking? Get out there and approach Mr. Gemini. He's not going to think any less of you for doing that. And matter of fact, he's going to like it because you're somebody new for him to talk to. All righty? Step two. Don't plan too far ahead once you're in these conversations with him. So you've got his attention. He's talking to you. You've exchanged numbers. Don't be afraid to be forward. Give him your number. Give him your email, your Snapchat, whatever that is, how your form of communication, Instagram, whatever. Get in there. Give it to him. But don't start planning for what you guys are going to do next Christmas, for goodness sakes. That's way, way, way too much for Mr. Gemini. He kind of needs you to keep it present day. They feel more comfortable that way. Now, that's not to say that your Gemini man won't be around next Christmas. He just doesn't want to think about it week 2. Okay? So, step 3. Don't be predictable. That's right. Like I said, Geminis are known to bore easily. So you don't want to bore the man to death. You want to keep it spicy. That means on your first date or 2, you're out, you don't have to give him your whole life story. That's not necessary. Keep some things to yourself. Let the Gemini man discover some things about you. Yeah, imagine that. Engage him in his mind so that he wants to ask you questions. And don't get too caught up in giving over answers. Answer the question. Let him find out the rest of the story later. And if he asks a lot of questions and you're not ready to divulge that, then say, well, you'll just have to stick around and find out. You see how I did that? That's a good tip for you. That one was free. All right, now, anything that carries a whiff of novelty will be appreciated by your Gemini man. You know, they like to have fun. They don't want it to be too stuffed and too caged in. That's really just not the Gemini thing. They're an air sign. They like to float and flit around. So, if you have your latest book and you want to talk about your latest book, especially if it's a book of what ifs, if you read a book about fun facts, discuss it with the Gemini man. They like stuff like that. They like learning about things that they didn't really know. As a matter of fact, that's going to make you stick out in his mind, because to him, he's going to be like, wow, I really didn't know that. And the Gemini prides themselves on knowing a lot about a lot, okay? So if you're the type of person that you can put the Gemini man onto some new knowledge, some things that he wasn't aware of, by all means, do so. That will score you higher on the list and keep him intrigued. The key to the Gemini man is to get his mind thinking about you, okay? So if you're definitely that person and you're into spirituality, you don't want to go too deep into it, because if the Gemini man is looking like he's not really interested in that, you want to kind of change subjects. But if that's something that he's finding fascinating, pursue that. Go with it. Diet, running, exercise, your hobbies, those kind of things. Let them know more about you to intrigue him, to let him know, there are layers here. This is something I just might want to spend more time thinking about. All right, which gets into the next thing. So you got his attention? All right, we're talking about something. Number 4, when it comes to sex, don't be prudish. Yeah, sex in the Gemini man is about excitement and change, okay? That's just what it is. They just don't like to be bored in any area of their life. The Gemini doesn't want to be bored. So you don't want to be Mr. Boring idea of you. When he thinks of bored, he does not want to associate boredom with you. And you certainly don't want that. So if you're unwilling to experiment and inject a little fun in your sex life, a little naughtiness, you might want to rethink whether or not you want to be Mr. Gemini. He might not be the one for you. But if you can live a little bit, now that doesn't mean that Mr. Gemini is going to hang you off the cliff, although he might. Hey, that's my disclaimer. I don't know. I'm just saying that if you're not the type of person that you like spontaneity every now and then, and you like to spice things up a little bit and do things a little different, maybe perhaps get into it on the sofa as opposed to always in the bedroom, granted you live alone and there are no children, or etc., he may not be for you. And for also the Gemini man, sex isn't purely physical. Keep that in mind. Sex with the Gemini is mental. It starts here first. So you're gonna have to talk about what it is you want to do. That's going to turn him on. That's going to make him excited. When you tell him you want to send him a naughty text about all the things that you're thinking about doing to him, do it. This is the sign that is there for it. They want to hear it. Just know Mr. Gemini is going to want you to pay up on every single text that you send. So make sure when you send it, you're willing to do it. All right? So you're going to talk dirty to him, because the first place Mr. Gemini has to be turned on in his mind. So talk. And step 5, take risks. Like I said, if you've always wanted to be that person where, you want to spice it up a little bit. You want to send a little risque picture of yourself or whatever you want to do once you two have exchanged numbers and gotten to that position with each other, then do it, Do the things that you always wanted to do but didn't know how it would be received. Well, Mr. Gemini is going to receive it just fine, especially if you add a little bit of conversation with that and you can back it up and keep it going, okay? Because the Gemini man loves to talk and he loves to think, all right? So reach out to them and do that. Talk. They're going to be talking anyway, so they might as well be talking to you. Am I right? Of course. And after you've hooked them with all these things, these fantastic 5 steps, and you got them going and they're interested, then I've got the next step for you, and you can find out what to do once you've got that Gemini man by looking at my other videos where you look up your sun sign paired with a Gemini, and I tell you exactly what can happen in that relationship and how to keep it going. once you two are really in thick, check out part 2, where we really talk about the things that the Gemini man and you can face with your sun sign pairing. Okay, so those are your 5 steps. Good luck. Get out there. Remember, this is a Gemini. They might be gone, so you want to get out there, cut this video off, well, rewind it again and take some notes. And then get yourself out there. Go find Mr. Gemini. Get yourself in front of him. Let him know that he has finally found someone that's going to keep him entertained. Talk to him. There will be no boredom, and you guys will have a lot of fun. And then come back here and let me know how it went. I'm Sohnjee. Thanks so much for watching. Good luck to you and Mr. Gemini. And until next time, I'll see you out there. Be careful. Subscribe. Bye.